Welcome back. Hey, the so-called Inflation Reduction Act, hold the laughs, became law last August. At the time, Democrats said the point was to reduce inflation. Now they're coming out and admitting it's really about their climate change agenda. Here's the Treasury Secretary.
As others have said, the Inflation Reduction Act is, at its core, about turning the climate crisis into an economic opportunity. The Inflation Reduction Act is spurring a wave of clean energy investments, which will have significant positive spillovers across the globe. And we're making our nation's largest investment in clean energy with the Inflation Reduction Act.
It's amazing how bold you get once it passes. Senator Joe Manchin of West Virginia agreed to vote for the Inflation Reduction Act last year. He says Democrats told him it would increase fossil fuel investments permits. Now Manchin is threatening to lead an effort to repeal the Inflation Reduction Act. I don't even know how he would do that. He says he was misled.
And so this piece of legislation was balanced. 10 years that we're going to have enough fossil to run our country and to help our allies around the world. And we also be investing in the new technology for the future. Now, they've disregarded that completely, what was agreed upon, and they know exactly what we agreed upon. This was energy security, and you have not heard the word energy security out of their mouth since it was passed. It's all about environment.
And by the way, it was that senator that pulled that piece of legislation out of the dumpster and then put it front and center. Charles Gasparino is the senior correspondent at Fox Business. Charlie, you are not surprised. You called this from day one. This was not going to touch inflation. Are you surprised how bold they are now?
I hate this. I mean, you know, I really want the Pulitzer Prize for this one, but it was an easy call. I mean, let's face it, Brian. The only way you're misled by this, and this is why I'm very dubious about what Senator Manchin just said, that he was misled. The only way you would be misled is if you didn't read beyond the headline, the Inflation Reduction Act, and actually bought it at face value. Because if you read the whole thing, it literally is a massive corporate welfare package, $1.9 trillion to the green energy business, and it is a big and growing business. Now, if you said that, and that's how you advertised it, okay, well, then if you vote for it, that's fine. But that's not what this is about. I mean, think about what it's doing. It's creating all these tax incentives for electric vehicles, for windmills, for all this green energy stuff. There is a business there. It believes that that somehow is going to take down energy prices. Now, we should just unpack this a little bit. You really think that your grandmother is going to be driving a Tesla, which is very, very expensive? I ask you, the viewer out there. They're not. Do you think the average voter in West Virginia is going to be buying a Tesla? Probably not. That's why I can't understand why Manchin voted for this thing. These Teslas and these EVs are very expensive. Do you think that windmills are an efficient way of generating electricity? They're not. That's why you need backup. You need oil, you need natural gas generators, and you burn coal. That's the problem with the electric vehicle industry and the whole green industry. Right. It's very inefficient, but you should at least say it. Listen, you want to save the environment? Say it, and let's vote on something real. But I don't believe Joe Manchin. I think, and let me tell you something, he really hurt his constituents on this. This is not a good thing for West Virginia.
He's trailing Jim Justice by about 30 points. It looks like Jim Justice is going to announce he's going to run for the Senate. This is what the CBO said. It will have a negligible impact on inflation. Here's what Penn Wharton budget model said. Concluded over the next decade, the impact on inflation is statistically indistinguishable from zero. Here's what Larry Fink said of BlackRock. Right. When the law will not do, says Larry, is ranging from is reduce inflation. That according to Larry Fink. So we all know it's not going to touch inflation, but we're going to have all these terminals and all these windmills and all these jobs coming into these cities, and everyone's bidding on them. Right. Does that show that Joe Biden's right? Final thought.
Well, I will say this. Larry Fink, I believe, said that on our air on Fox Business. But here's what I would say, that there's a good chance this is going to really increase inflation. And here's why. You've essentially incentivized industry to go into the green industry, and they subsidize the green industry and not drill for oil and promote fossil fuels. That will lead to relatively higher gas prices. It has to.
Right. Charlie Gasparino, I had to pay a fee to Neil Cavuto to borrow you tonight. You've been worth every syllable. Thanks so much. Now go party.
I'm going.
All right.